Even though I didn't know God at the time, he still gave me that spirit of guidance of being like, hey, you're better than this. So encourage you all on that today, guys. You can always come back from any mistake you make, yeah?
Last year is when we sort of got the first heads up that a surfing program could be on the cards. We didn't even know if we had surfers that were in the school, like kids. We knew maybe one or two that had mentioned that they go to surfing and do surfing. So I'd spoken to the director of sport, Logan Wakeford, and said, oh, maybe we can get something off the ground. What do you reckon? I mentioned it to Mr. Wood here, and he works at the Hope School, so on the same campus. And he said, dude, what was your word? Dude.
Literally, it was really interesting because God was stirring in my heart just like stuff about like PT and just like what could I bring to the school, and what happened was one morning after devotions, Toby come up to me and said, hey, I know this sounds crazy, bro, but mate, I want to run a surfing program and start it off. Like, what do you think about that? And I was like, bro, I've been like praying into this, like, God, what do you want to do within this space? Like, I want to give more of myself over to the school and the talents that I have and whatnot. And yeah, he said, dude, we should try and get this thing off the ground. And from there, I think a lot of time was spent in prayer around it first and nutting it out of how's this actually going to work. And it's crazy to see our prayers like just be so answered and like bigger than we could have thought. We've already had 2 comps this year and had such growth within the students. Every Friday morning we come here, we start at 6:30, so students usually get here maybe 10 minutes to 6:20. The coaches check in, see how the students are feeling. We get here as coaches at about 6 a.m. just to suss out the conditions. Where's the best bank going to be? Where's the safest place going to be? And then we digress at 6:30 with the kids. How's the conditions looking? How's everyone feeling? Hey, and then the next part we get into is we go into a time of prayer where maybe a student has something they want to bring to the table that they'd like prayer about, or just in general, just praising God's name because he's number one. From there, we're all pretty excited by that point. We all head out in the water, we'll surf for around about an hour and 10 minutes. We'll get back onto the land at about 7:50. From there, 8 o'clock, we're going in devotion. So that's where we go through our training diary, where we go through some wins, some things we might have been going through throughout the week, and just opening our hearts up to each other a bit, and then falling under the banner of Jesus Christ, who is our ultimate hope, who is our strength, and who is the one who's guided this whole program. And just to see the fruits that's been born out of that training diary is just amazing. Just to have a place where the kids can actually just open themselves up and be honest with themselves, and then also be able to come through, break down how they're feeling throughout the week, and then just get to pray with them, and then also have prompting questions which is going to sharpen them ultimately to the man they're going to be. And when we have the women's program, we're going to have the same kind of diary and be able to have the women be able to just guide each other, and like iron sharpens iron, we're going to grow from each other in fellowship and community. So yeah, that's how the Friday sessions run.
Yeah, God's constantly moving in the program. We've seen that from day one, where we're sort of like, we've only got a couple of surfers, and all of a sudden just God starts bringing in people, coaches coming forward going, hey, I pastor at a church and I'm also a level 2 surf coach, and getting a part of the program, getting around the boys. But what the major changes that we're seeing as well, where God has just completely got his hand over this program, and it's amazing to be a part of, and we want to keep giving him all the glory. For instance, parents are seeing a massive change in their kids. Kids are now going to their parents, and we're seeing father and son doing morning devotions together and filling out these training diaries. It's just an absolute incredible thing. And we've got mums emailing me saying, dads are praying again, and they're seeing real Christians influence their boys that are legit. These guys are on fire for God, and they're actually now influencing my boy the way I would love God to be influencing them in their lives. and it's God's moving in that area so much more powerfully, and He's doing other things as well. Like we had the trials last term, and then this term we've started the actual team and competing, and we had just a soft competition in week 2. We went down to Coffs Harbour, and one of our boys in the final and equal first in the final, and then we get a phone call the next day from Surfing Australia and say, we're going to give you a wild card into the Australian Championships. And the next thing, we're all at Kirra at the Australian Championships, from kids all around Australia, in Perth and WA and South Australia, all flying in for this comp. And we're mixing it with the best. And not only that, we shared with the boys at the very start, let's watch God move in this space.
Come on.
And they're now reporting back to us, oh my gosh, do you see what God's done now? Like, we're in the national championships. This is incredible. And one of the first Bible verses at our pre-season training camp, the Bible verse we shared was, if you acknowledge me before man, I'll acknowledge you before my Father in heaven. Yeah. And I said to the boys, whether that's our team Bible verse or not, we're not going to be ashamed to pray in front of people. And we're down there on the beach, and we've got all these parents of the boys coming around and praying for them, putting their hands on them. And just to see that, and people walking past like going, something's going on here, like something's pretty special with this team. And to have eyes on us, and we're not ashamed to pray in public. We're not ashamed to say that we're Christian and we're out there. And the boys are now fully embracing that, and they're okay with that. And it's so comforting to see God moving in that area in their lives, where they've now stepped away from, having people, they're looking at me when I pray and being ashamed, to just like, I don't care. Like, I'm on fire for God, and I don't care who knows it. And that's just been amazing. And there's more things that have been happening behind closed doors that you can tell God's working, and we're encouraging the boys to get on that journey, and we don't hold back and showing him, hey, watch where God's working. And that was one of our prayers this morning, was like, hey guys, look what God's already done, and listing all these things. And they're like, yeah, this is great. So they're watching, and they've got their eyes on the Lord. So, and that's ultimately our ultimate goal. It's like, how do we reach these guys for Christ? Hey, let's just use surfing as our vessel.